Okay, Beyond the Gates fans, we are here to talk about the final episode of the week. And yes, remember, we only get 3 episodes this week because of March Madness. So it didn't hit me until like 5 minutes ago before I started recording that. Oh, no wonder this episode. It's not that it wasn't good, it's just that it didn't have that, that Friday cliffhanger feeling. But I will say this much. Initially, I was going to give the episode a decent 7, but then the scene, well, I am jumping ahead here. The scene where Danny was staring down a bottle of the good liquor or alcohol, whatever beverage it was. Obviously, it was what, Andre wanted her to stay away from. I was like, oh my goodness, she's going to do it. But she surprised me when she went to the sink and poured it all down the drain. And for that, I bumped up the score to a 10 out of 10. Because Carla's eyes are just so expressive. I mean, in episode 17, when she got home from the country club and her eyes were just, red and puffy and everything, she just emotes so much with just one look. And I feel like for me, that was indeed the highlight of the episode. I mean, to be honest, looking at my notes here in front of me, I only have about a third of the page full of notes, which isn't much. I only have so many bullet points. But yeah, this definitely felt like a great way to close out the week, especially with the promo we got for week five. So before going into the breakdown, make sure you take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Hit subscribe and hit the bell icon to select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content here on the channel. Because, Sisters has come to a close. The Oval is now in its mid-season finale break. So, for quite a while, Beyond the Gates is going to have to carry the channel. So I will need all the support you can give me by just watching these reviews. And heck, if you want me to start doing, I don't know, live streams to discuss the show, let me know in the comments. I mean, even if there's only a few people, if you want me to do like a weekly live stream to discuss the show, that would be cool. So we start off with Andre arriving at Danny's place, and what's kind of scary about this is that it's nighttime. It is nighttime, and Andre arrives. So Danny has been passed out on the floor for most of the day because remember, she went to the country club with her family for breakfast. Then she got home and kept chugging until she saw the bottom of the bottle and she passed out. So she was on that floor all day. So he rushes to her side and, eventually gets her over to the couch and gives her, a glass of water and some, like an aspirin or something in order to help out. And, they do cuddle for a little bit, but Danny does ask that he keeps it between them, not to tell anybody about, how he found her. And he's like, yeah, I mean, then I'd have to explain what I was doing here so late to begin with. So, he's about to leave. And the way she just kind of, grabbed his arm, is like, no, could you please stay? I don't know why, because a couple weeks ago, we were living for the hot and steamy Andre and Danny scenes, but the past couple of times he's come over, and I think Danny even mentions how, this is like the second time you've come over and things didn't really pan out the way we thought. I think what's happening now is that they're finding comfort in each other. I know in the story, it was explained how Andre is not blood related to the Duprees because Danny is Nicole's sister. Nicole married Ted. Ted's brother, aka Nicole's brother-in-law, his son Andre is her, nephew by marriage. So no blood ties at all with Danny. But somebody on Twitter did mention, look, don't get me wrong, Andre and Danny are, their scenes are hot and all, but it's kind of weird because even though they aren't related by blood and whatnot and this, that, and the third, she no doubt knew Andre when he was like a kid. Because if I remember correctly, it was stated that Andre lost his folks in a plane crash when he was really young, like a teen or something like that. And that's when Ted and Nicole like took him in. So yeah, and plus it seems Andre is probably younger than Martin. So yeah, he was born after Nicole and Ted got married, I imagine. So yeah, Danny didn't probably Danny didn't know him well, especially even after his folks died and he got a little age on him. He decided to travel around and be a photographer. So it's not like their paths crossed all that often. But you know what? It's hot, but it's kind of like I don't know. I don't know. I've moved past it, but once I started reading comments and tweets, I'm like, oh yeah, because an example is CW's The Flash, where Barry Allen, when Iris West got married and everything, but even back in like the first couple seasons, when it's kind of a will they, won't they, and then they eventually start dating in season 3, it's like, but Barry's mom was killed, his dad went to jail for a crime he didn't commit, and then Joe, the father of Iris, took Barry in as basically his own. So Barry and Iris were pretty much raised like brother and sister, and they can both essentially call the same man dad, but then they end up together. And it's kind of like, why did they do that from the comic books? Like, why did they change the source material for the TV show? And it just feels kind of So it's like your sister, kinda. And it is kind of giving the same vibes here. Not brother, sister, but like aunt, nephew, but kind of, sort of not. So, I don't know. I'm sorry for that tangent, but I just had to talk about it because, like I said, the more the show goes on, the more Twitter talks about it. So it's like, But yeah, I think we're probably going to see less of Andre and Danny getting freaky, but we'll see them get closer emotionally because the other couple episodes ago when he came over and Danny, shoved him on the couch and started kissing him and whatnot, the passion just wasn't there. And then, she noticed that, oh, wait, bad day. He's like, yeah, you too. And then they just ended up holding each other because both of them, obviously, the thrill is gone between the two because it's not just like, oh, sex on sight. It's more like they kind of recognize that each of them is struggling right now. For obvious reasons, it's different. With Andre, it's like he can't figure out his feelings on Ashley. It's like, wow, I never usually go for women that are, spoken for, but all of a sudden, Ashley, now I'm just feeling some kind of way. Why is that? And with Danny, obviously, the circumstances is way worse considering that marriage over 3 decades ended in betrayal. And now she has to deal with seeing her ex-husband parade around his new trophy wife in her neighborhood and social circles. So, man. But I did love it. The fact that they just found peace in each other. Obviously, it's not solving their problems, but it's nice that we're seeing more affection between them. But here's the thing, though. This thing that we have will never happen again, never again. Kind of like, call me, beat me if you want to reach me. While the passion and the fire of the Andre and Danny thing, I wouldn't say is gone, but it's focused more on, the thrill is kind of over. We're both recognizing we're effed up in our own ways. They will probably grow closer as a result, but eventually I think it's going to get to a point where, what if Ashley does decide to reciprocate Andre's feelings and then he starts pursuing her, they start getting together and he starts ignoring Danny's phone calls. Because keep in mind, later in the episode, as Danny eventually goes to sleep and Andre slips out, he goes over to talk with Ted and Nicole, and he talks to Nicole without going into too many details. Hey, I bumped into Danny not too long ago, and she was looking kind of, upset about something. And Nicole was like, wait, we saw her this morning at breakfast. She was all smiles and whatnot. Look, speaking to someone who went through a crisis of my own, even after the crisis is over and everybody sees you, all smiles and laughs and everything, eventually it gets to a point of like loneliness. And I love how Andre was able to give Nicole a taste of reality, that despite being a accomplished psychiatrist and thinking that, oh well, I know my sister, she realized that, "Oh, I never thought that she could be lonely," because with her outgoing personality and whatnot. It's like, what's that that quote that's always floating around, then it has pictures like Mac Miller and Robin Williams and Chris Farley and other people who who were like very famous or seem to have good spirits most of the time. They ended up self-deleting. So it's like, hey, check on your strongest friends, because sometimes they're the ones who need it the most. And I just love the fact that Nicole had this realization, and Andre was the one to deliver that to her. It really felt good, especially with Nicole recognized, like, you know what, I think of you as like the charming young man who's world renowned and this, that, and the third, ladies man, but the fact you surprise me sometimes. I love that moment between them. Now, speaking of Andre, he does mention to Nicole that, hey, like, don't worry, I'm not over here to talk about Ashley or anything like that. And also, yeah, I'm not trying to get into it with her. Even though I'm still not sure what those feelings were, I am not going to, pursue it any longer. So, yeah. Not to mention, she shut it down so quick, so it's not like she's into me like that whatsoever. And then we shift gears over to the apartment, I think Ashley's apartment, because Derrick is over there making a lasagna while Ashley is finishing up at the hospital. And she eventually comes home and, she's doting over Derrick because she's concerned, like, hey, you're not supposed to be up because, yeah, I know you're just cooking, but that requires a lot of lifting and bending and everything. You just got out of the hospital. And before they can, even have dinner, because, she gives them a massage and then they kiss and everything is like seemingly good, his phone goes off and it turns out that it was work. And she's like, wait, you just got discharged after getting injured. Like, why are you still running to work? But the text says it's an all hands on deck thing. So we just dips and she's upset. And look, I'm not saying that Derrick is cheating. I'm not saying that at all. But it did seem suspect that he just dipped like that. I mean, like, why? You would think that given his situation where he got injured, that he would tell Ashley beforehand when he was going back to work. But that's not the case. So like I said, I hope it isn't a cheating thing. At least not yet anyway. But Ashley, yeah, she is upset. She does call her mom over because of the fact that she wanted to discuss, the situation. And I'm not going to lie, because earlier at the hospital, she does have a brief flashback to Andre trying to kiss her. And when she was rubbing on Derrick's shoulders and then sat on his lap and then they started kissing, I thought for a moment she was going to flash back to Andre. I thought she was going to have a moment like that. But when her mom comes over, she discusses, everything going on with Derrick and Andre. And turns out her mom, Jan, somebody told me her name is Jan. Please correct me if I'm mistaken on that. But because I've always said, hey, we're over at the diner with Leslie, Mona, and Ashley's mom. But, she doesn't know about Andre, but that's because, he's always traveling and whatnot. And she's looking at the collage that Andre gave her a few episodes ago. The one with the photos of the woman with the baby that they delivered, then a picture of them, and then the candid shots. And at first, Ashley's like, here, you have it. It's like, wait, what? No, this is a personal gift. Why would I take it? Oh, wait, is it because of Derrick? Well, I don't know. It feels kind of awkward. And it's like, so what do you mean? It's like, are you and Andre? Well, after the whole baby thing, I feel like we moved into the friend zone. And now it's like things are kind of awkward between us. And he tried to kiss me, but it didn't happen because, I stopped him and everything. And then she talks about how she doesn't want things to be awkward between them due to the fact that if he isn't in her life anymore, she'd miss him. And then when her mom steps into the kitchen to, get some lasagna and whatnot, because she mentions how Derrick, fixed a lot. It's like, yeah, take some leftovers because there's no way I can eat all this. she looks back at her daughter and notices that she's looking at the photo. So it's like, ooh, I think there might be sparks there. So yeah, I feel like Andre is definitely going to keep his distance, but at some point, Ashley's probably going to try to close the gap because despite the fact that, her and Derrick are still together, it's almost like he's purposefully putting distance between them. I don't know if it's because he's still feeling some kind of way about how close Andre and Ashley are, or if it's the fact that Ashley's going to start resenting him because he's making moves without, letting her know first. And with Andre putting distance between them, what's that saying? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I think the more space between them, the more Ashley's going to reconsider her current relationship status. And then it's going to be a situation where it's like you versus the guy she told you not to worry about. So let's talk about Nicole and Ted because, they're looking at the proofs that Andre gave them from the award ceremony. And it turns out that their anniversary is coming up because we transition over to Leslie and Eva's apartment and Leslie's making dinner. And she mentions like, oh, I know these pork chops aren't as good as the ones at the diner. But, the thing is we can't be seen in public together because we still need to keep it on the DL about our mother-daughter situation because Leslie is still trying to figure out how she got, ratted out at the award ceremony. She thinks Ted was the one that got her, thrown out, but it was actually Eva. So Eva is trying to deflect. It's like, so we need to come up with a plan that's going to take down Ted and, once and for all. And Eva's all, well, actually, I met Kat. And you could tell like she's rambling in order to avoid scheming with her mom. And she brings up Tomas and how it got under Kat's skin. But Leslie's like, look, I know this Kat is a bougie brat, but the thing is, you got to keep your cool. Don't piss her off because given that she's, mommy and daddy's little princess, she could possibly get you terminated. And remember, you being at that job is what keeps you at their house, and we can't blow that cover just yet. So we need to come up with a TED-related event because, okay, yeah, the award ceremony was a bust, and it was Nicole's night. So what we need to do is create a scenario where we have a TED-centric event, something that's going to be a culmination of his love for his little wife, and then blow it in their faces. Their anniversary is coming up. How would you know? Well, with all the years I've had scheming and whatnot, one time we were supposed to meet up, but then he canceled, and it turned out the reason was because of his anniversary, which seems to imply that Leslie or Dana and Ted had more than one secret rendezvous. Interesting. So she's trying to convince Eva, like, look, what you need to do is come up with some sort of, way to slip it in their minds. Like, hey, are you doing anything for your anniversary? How about a party? And Eva is like against the idea. It's like, look, I'm just the assistant. I feel like if I bring that up, that's going to be doing too much. Yeah. Well, why don't you pass it on through Martin or Kat? Heck no. I don't want to deal with her. But, Leslie just keeps pushing and pushing. So eventually Eva actually drops by the house and she brought back Kat's dress. So she walks in mid-conversation and it turns out Ted was talking about, hey, for our anniversary, why don't we go on like a 2-week trip to like, different, famous baseball stadiums and whatnot. Wait, you mean, look, I love you, Ted, but you're not dragging me across the country to go to different baseball games on wooden benches eating hot dogs and giant foam fingers. Well, yeah, I mean, hey, look. We can go to the games, but in all those locations, I'll pick out fancy restaurants and whatnot, the kind of stuff you love. I'm just kidding. Oh, well, that's great. Well, yeah, anniversaries are great. So, I mean, why not plan some sort of trip? And Nicole's like, yeah, but with the award ceremony and all the work and time we put into that, I kind of want to get back to schedule. And the last thing I need is to like go out of town. Well, why not some sort of party? And then Ted's like, that's a great idea. And Nicole's like, okay, I'm busy to plan, but how about this? How about you two put your minds together and come up with a party and I'm down. So there you go. Great idea. And then she relays this information to her mom and she is just all too giddy about it. So poor Eva, you could tell she's conflicted right now. But the thing is, Leslie better watch out because Eva is the one that's planning the party. And Well, I was about to say Leslie better watch out because Eva might sabotage it again. However, we got to keep in mind Leslie has been going off script a lot, and hey, don't get me wrong, Eva has as well. But I feel like the more that Leslie is pushing to blow up Ted's life, the more she's treating Eva like a hench girl as opposed to a partner in crime. And then Eva is starting to see how deceptive and wicked her mom is. But I think the icing on the cake is when she finally realizes that, wait. My mom gaslit me into thinking, she did not run Laura off the road, but it actually was her. When she finds that out, that's going to be the last straw. That's what I think. Now, from there, let me just check my notes here because, yeah, we're almost done. I think the last thing to talk about is the Haley stuff and Bill, but let me just double check my notes. Don't want to miss anything. Talked about Andre, Ashley, Derrick, Danny. Yeah, pouring that stuff down the drain. I love that for Danny. Yeah, everything else is related to Bill and Haley. So Haley says she wants out of the marriage, and somebody tweeted this, and it makes so much sense. Wait a minute, so you're telling me Haley still went through with getting married to Bill despite getting a gun pointed at her on her wedding day in a viral video? She still went through the marriage. But for whatever reason, her being ignored at the country club is the final straw and she wants out. And somebody else even said that, you know what, I'm not getting husband and wife vibes from Bill and Haley. It's almost like he's the father, trying to reel in the spoiled brat daughter, and that's kind of true. I mean, it's I don't know if it's the age gap or whatnot. It's not the acting. It's the fact that the dynamic between these two. Somebody said that it almost feels like Bill just had a midlife crisis. So it's like he probably feels like, hell yeah, the only reason he went through with the whole getting with Haley and whatnot is basically to kind of prove to himself that he still got it and can turn, a side chick into a housewife. And it's like, I don't know. But I just couldn't take Haley seriously whatsoever in this episode because, kind of like in my episode 17 review, I just wanted to highlight the fact that she deserves nothing. This woman literally thought that getting married to Bill was going to be like an osmosis effect where, oh, well, look, I know the way I found love with Bill was unorthodox, and I know it's not going to be something that's a hit. Sorry. I think my phone disconnected from the computer charger. That's what it was. Sorry about that noise. But yeah, it's like, I thought that getting married to Bill, the respect he receives would also, transfer over to me. And it's like, no, ho, that's not how it works. And all I can do, and I know I've said this in the past couple episode reviews, but I'll say it again. Nicole said it best after Haley's like, I fell in love with an inconvenient man. And now you have to deal with the inconvenient consequences. See how that works? Like, I don't really know what else to say about Haley because you deserve nothing. I mean, yeah, you deserve to get your ass whooped, which has already happened, but I don't feel bad for her. Yeah, look, like Danny, violating their space by coming into the house and breaking stuff and drinking stuff. Oh, yeah. And then the gun at the wedding, way too much. Yes, I did feel bad in those moments. But in terms of like, feeling sympathy for Haley's plight, I don't buy that. You're not going to get friends in the community, and I mean by being yourself, because being yourself, well, to be honest, Haley, you're not a good person. You're not a good person because the fact that you said Naomi was your first real friend, and if she's your first real friend, and you betrayed her like that by sleeping with her dad, being the straw that broke the camel's back that resulted in the divorce and whatnot. Like, what's that saying with friends like that? Who needs enemies? And you could tell Bill is kind of manipulating her because for whatever reason, Haley went from, you know what, I think we need to end this marriage and call it what it is, like a sham. Like, I mean, you promised me the world and whatnot, and now I'm just living, isolated and whatnot. And some people are like, That's probably what Bill wants. Because remember, he wanted Haley to quit. Yeah, gave her the black card and everything. Is like, yeah, quit your job at the firm and just be my housewife. And the thing is, even if Haley, let's say Haley did quit her job. Okay, you're living in the lap of luxury. You have all the money in the world, but you're alone and miserable because everybody in the community hates you, and for good reason. Because, yeah, it's clear Haley did not want to come back. She tried to tell Bill, look, if we go back to Fairmount Crest, it's not going to go good. But the thing is, I feel like Bill knew it would turn out the way Haley said it would. Because did I mention in my last episode review, or was it on Twitter, where I said I think part of the whole Bill thing, him being the one to say, look, let's go back to Fairmount Crest, let's move back to their that community, buy a house and whatnot. I feel like it was his way to stick it not just to Danny, but to the Dupree family as a whole. Because he probably always felt some kind of way about them for the past 30 plus years, given the fact that, oh, the all powerful Duprees, everybody bends the knee to the Duprees. And, there's no doubt in my mind that Vernon and Anita did not, take kindly to Bill when they first met, given the fact that you're the one our daughter wants to marry. And then on top of that, he was the reason Danny put her entire career on ice in order to take care of Bill and raise their kids, and then got Vernon to help get clients or whatnot for his starter firm, and then he built up a name for himself. And there was no doubt there was probably some resentment there, because despite the success Bill has, and I know he was trying to be cool in week one. It's like, oh, I don't owe you or your family anything. I made myself who I am now. He knows in the back of his mind that's not true. I mean, in that one flashback of Naomi's wedding day, he was talking to Danny about how, Danny's like, well, Daddy helped you. It's like, oh, no, that was all you. You're the one who left your career behind to take care of me, and like, you did so much for my life and career. So it's just one of those things where I feel like Bill just wanted to stick it to the Duprees, because for years he's held a grudge against them. It isn't just the favors he's done and the blackmail he can deal to them, but it's like, oh, you thought I couldn't make it on my own? Well, guess what? I leveled up after your your model daughter and everything. No. I'm living it up now, and I'm doing it in your community. So it's like Bill keeps making these promises, and Haley's getting upset. But Haley does seem like a little spoiled brat, where if you just buy her something, she'll forget all about it. Because guess what? Bill has a surprise dinner in their living room to continue their honeymoon phase, because Haley straight up says, look, that little taste of the honeymoon we got, where it was just the two of us in Italy and whatnot, away from all this craziness, this is the kind of life I wanted. I didn't want to move back to Fairmount Crest. So Bill, like I said, he's doing this for himself. It isn't for Haley. So the moment he bust out that little box with the earrings, apparently it's from like their first concert they went to, and she was eyeing these to, like a window. And yeah, he went to get them while he said he was going to the concession stand. And that made her forget all about it. And I'm just like, what? So those earrings are going to make up for the next time you decide to go to the country club or some other Dupree built establishment and get ignored. Okay, make it make sense. But yeah, he's going to support her all the way, but this marriage is not going to last too long. It's like Bill made all these promises and whatnot, and Haley has this fairy tale dream of how she wanted things to turn out. But at this point, she's essentially going to be like Rapunzel locked away in the tower. It's like, hey, you know what? You married the man you claim is the man of your dreams, and you're living in the house you wanted, and this, that, and the third. You have, you're married into money, but you're just going to be miserable. And remember, she's young too. So, you would think she's like, oh yeah, I can't wait to go out there and make friends. And nobody wants to get to know you. And for good reason, because you burned so many bridges. You betrayed the most powerful and influential family in the community. And the fact that the Duprees, or more specifically, the Hamiltons, welcome you into their home with open arms, and you slept with Danny's husband, why in the world would anybody with any good sense want to become friends with you? It's like, You screwed over Danny's daughter by betraying her trust and sleeping with Danny's husband. Why would I get close to you? What? Why would I invite you over to my house? So what, you can sleep with my husband too? So I think the bigger question is, between Haley and Bill, which one of them will cheat on the other one first? Because somebody, mentioned online that, what, it's only a matter of time before, hey, Bill probably wanted Haley to become a housewife, because who's to say at some point a hot little new intern won't be working at the firm, and then Bill will hook up with her. And basically, Haley's going to go through exactly what Danny did. And we don't know. We don't know. Did Haley sign a prenup? So I'm just saying. But given how Bill is, and the fact that, well, he owns a law firm, I have a feeling there was probably a prenup, but it's not been mentioned on screen. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But yeah, overall, solid episode. And remember, this was a Wednesday episode, not a Friday episode. But either way, it was still good. But hey, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.